Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome again to another lecture on the history of English literature. After tackling and going through the first two periods, which were the Old English period or the Anglo-Saxon period, and also its following period, which was the Middle English period, today we come to study this prosperous period, which is called the Renaissance. The Renaissance, which came right after the Middle Ages, right? And it began almost in 1500 and lasted till 1660, the age of Restoration. Now, we need to define here or decode the word Renaissance. In fact, it's a French and Latin word, and naissance. Naissance means what? Re indicates repetition, clear. And naissance indicates birth. Indicates birth. That's why it is defined as a kind of rebirth, a kind of awakening, right? Prosperity, revival, and also an uprising movement which swept across Europe and, of course, across also England. In fact, this Renaissance began first in Italy, right, almost in 1350, 14th century, then it moved to the rest of Europe. And this Renaissance period was a period of intellectual, artistic, literary, scientific awakening, prosperity, flourishment, right, in all domains, right, good. Historians agree that its approximate date was 16th century, I mean in 1500, but its seed and its precursors began before this date, almost in 1453, 1453, but it was more apparent, more prominent during 1500 and on, right, since 1500 and on. Also, this Renaissance was marked by the reigns of the Tudor monarchs and kings, including Henry VIII, who ruled at the time England, then Elizabeth I, and she was the most prominent king whose effect was paramount and comparable to all the other kings. And also we have James I. So these are the three kings or monarchs who ruled England during this Renaissance period. Now, we said it's a period of cultural, intellectual, artistic, literary, philosophical rebirth, revival, awakening, flourishment, prosperity, and so on. Right. But historically speaking, the age which lasted, as you see here, from 1500 to 1660, it means it covered a span of 1 century and a half. This age was divided also by historians into 4 short ages, and these ages were named after their rulers. So we have first, within or under the umbrella of Renaissance, we have 4, we can say, mini ages. We have, number 1, the Elizabethan age, which began in 1558 till 1603. Then, after it came the Jacobean age, which began in 1603 till 1625. If you compare between the Elizabethan age and Jacobean age, Elizabethan age was prosperous, an age of light, of discoveries, of intellectual and scientific awakening, whereas Jacobean age was an age of instability, age of darkness and the crisis, clear, and led also to questioning social order at the time. Also, third period or age under the umbrella of Renaissance was the Caroline age, which began in 1625 and 16 until 1649. It was ruled by King Charles I, clear, and witnessed, of course, the rise of Puritanism, the Puritan movement with its conflicts with the king at that time. Then we have the Commonwealth age from 1649 and 1660. So in this lecture, we're going to focus on the common features and also characteristics of the Renaissance, which marked both the Renaissance and its first age mainly, which is the Elizabethan age. So from now on, what we mention as characteristics or factors or features which depicted and characterized this Renaissance, they are the same features, the same characteristics which also characterized the Elizabethan age, the golden age in England at that time. Right. So, Queen Elizabeth I, in particular, could, with her wisdom and wit, of course, make England a powerful, prosperous, and flourished kingdom. Right, kingdom. And during it, England witnessed its heyday of the Renaissance, prosperity and success in all domains, including arts, literature, philosophy, discoveries, military also achievements, and so on. Right. And there were, of course, many factors which led to this prosperity and this cultural and intellectual awakening and the flourishment and prosperity of Renaissance, mainly during the Elizabethan age with Queen Elizabeth I. These factors are as follows. First, at the time, intellectually, it means in terms of the mindset, way of thinking, there was a big change, big shift from the old and the Middle Ages way of thinking, which was predominantly religious and theological, to non-religious way of thinking. It was the age of the spread of what we call secularism, secular way of thinking. It means the non-religious thinking, religious based on scientific and pure objective thinking, which came, of course, as reaction against the Dark Ages religious churches or religious teachings and their dominance over the mind. So in this age witnessed a kind of revolution in terms of thinking. The minds were freed from the clutches of the church. So through this secular way of thinking or secular mindset, which also led to revive, many concepts and rediscover them, re-evaluate them from this secular perspective, a non-religious perspective. Clear. One of the main achievements here, thanks to this secularist spirit, was the new belief that the center of the universe was man, not God. It means with before Middle Ages, thinkers, intellectuals, clergymen, people of the church, commons used to believe that God was the center, of universe, and all the knowledge and the information and the epistemology branches should be always about the church and God's teachings. Clear. But with the coming of secularism, there was a big shift towards focusing on the human being, man. Clear. Man as the center of the universe. And this, of course, led to the rise of the sense of individualism, sense of awareness of identity, individual's identity, human identity. Clear. And also sense of nationalism, Right. Good. So, secularism led to new ways of thinking, opened new gates and perceptions and concepts, which were totally different from the Middle Ages concepts. Also, it was an age of political stability, mainly after the defeat of the Spanish forces and their armada by the army of Queen Elizabeth I. It was a big achievement because at the time Spain was the most powerful strength in the world. And when it was defeated by the English armies, it was one of the great achievements for this queen, Elizabeth I, to set her on the steps of glory, together with its kingdom of England. Clear. Also, we have also another important event which happened at the time. It was the Reformation, clear, of the English Church by Queen Elizabeth I. You know, before her coming, there was a lot of struggle and conflicts between mainly Catholics and Protestants, right? But after her coming, this queen could combine and reconcile both religious groups under a new establishment, a new church, which was the Anglican Church. So this also led to religious stability under the new established Anglican Church. And this led, of course, to prosperity, of England in the field of social and also religious arenas. Also, it was an age of exploration and discoveries. At the time, Columbus discovered America. Also, Copernicus discovered the solar system. And there was also the famous journey of Vasco da Gama toward the Earth. It was an age of openness, right, towards all the world and all knowledge and all also directions that are meant or were meant to bring glory and development and evolution to that country. There was also sharp movement or rise of scientific curiosity, open-mindedness, free minds from the church, and so on. Another also important and influential factor and also feature of this Renaissance and also Elizabethan age was the rise of humanism. Humanism was, in fact, an intellectual movement which called for the revival of interest in the ancient and the classical texts, mainly the ancient Greek and Roman texts. Now, why do these Renaissance scholars and thinkers and intellects call for this return and revival of their ancestors' classical texts? I mean here texts of literature, texts of mainly philosophy, history, and so on. Clear? In fact, because the Greeks and the Romans and also the texts were based mainly on the use of the logic. You know, the Greeks were famous for philosophy. Clear? That's why this period witnessed this call, right, to return to the old texts of philosophy, of literature, of history, and so on. Because in the past, their ancestors, the Greeks and the Romans, mainly the Greeks, clear, were philosophers, and they had mythology, they had logic, they had a lot of philosophical principles and ideas which were based on the mind, not on religious beliefs and so on. Clear? Good. This also return or humanistic spirit which led to the return of these old texts also incited or provoked or evoked a huge movement of or wave of translations of many of the Greek and Roman masterpieces in literature, poetry, epics, philosophical texts, right, historical texts, and so on and so forth. And in this period, in particular of Renaissance, the works of Homer, famous poet Homer, who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, these two masterpieces, were written in Greek language, now they were in this Renaissance period translated into English for the first time. For the first time. Clear? Also, there was much influence during this period, both Renaissance and also Elizabethan age, by the Italian literature. Why, in particular, was the English literature influenced much by the Italian literature? Because, you know, Italy was the hometown of the Roman Empire, which preceded England many centuries with its advancements, its Roman Empire, its knowledge, and so on. Number one. Number two, also, Italy at the time witnessed the beginning of Renaissance. It means Renaissance began first in Italy, and after many decades, or even a century, more than a century, okay, it moved to the other European countries, then to England. That's why Italy was or witnessed prosperity in arts, in literature, with Da Vinci, artists, poets, Boccaccio, Dante, Petrarch, and so on, before England. And when England came to witness this prosperity again in the Renaissance, of course, they were influenced by the Italians who came before them, to lead the torch of Renaissance. Also, this period also witnessed the rise of poetry and drama, with new genres and also innovations. There were many innovations which happened at the level of the English literary production, both in verse and in also drama. Of course, after being influenced by the Italian poetry and also Italian drama, like the appearance of English sonnets for the first time, the blank verse for the first time, right? Also, we have writings of prose, pamphlets, essays, historical chronicles. All this appeared during the Renaissance and the Elizabethan also age. Also, this age was characterized by a kind of interest in religious and moral issues, but not in the same way that was in the Middle Ages. Middle Ages, those religious and moral issues were undiscussable, axiomatic. But in this age, they were dealt with as things to be, or beliefs to be questioned, to be doubted anew, to be investigated. So here we find the interest in critical thinking with regard to this interest in religious and moral issues, and this led to the birth also in this age of criticism. The Renaissance also resulted in the birth of that critical sense of thinking, critical thinking, and the birth of criticism that was established in this prosperous era and age.